You know, if the multiverse actually is real, that means there's a universe out there where Spider-Man fans went to go watch No Way Home, and they got this instead.
Oh my god, guys, it's him! It's him, he's here! Oh my god.
Tritium is making the machine again. When that
Hello Spider-Man fans, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. Spider-Man No Way Home has released this weekend and fans are going crazy over it, absolutely loving the movie. Heck, it's even breaking all sorts of box office records, with this possibly being the first movie that could hit the $1 billion mark ever since the pandemic started, which is a really big deal. And with numbers like that, you just know Sony and Marvel are going to continue on with another Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. Heck, Kevin Feige himself has already even confirmed that they're working on Spider-Man 4 with Marvel and Sony. And with the way Spider-Man No Way Home ends, my mind is just racing at the possibility. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here for you guys, is giving you my predictions, my opinion, theorizing what I think is next for Tom Holland Spider-Man. There's a couple of clues from the way this movie ended that lets us know what's going to be happening for him, but there's also other things that we haven't thought about that could be in the cards for Tom Holland Spider-Man. But this isn't just my theories and predictions. I'm going to need you guys in the comment section to also give me your thoughts and theories. I'm actually going to really be curious to see what you guys think. Sometimes you guys are just more creative than me, and I'm like, oh crap, that actually would be good for the movie. And of course, this goes without saying, from here on out, it'll be full spoilers on Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you have not seen that movie, do yourself a favor and go watch it. And now that we're in the spoiler section, if you want to know when I think we're going to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield again in the MCU, because there's a pretty good chance that it is going to be happening. This wasn't a one-time thing, boys, not with them box office numbers. I'll be making a separate video about when Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will show up in the universe again. But now focusing on Tom Holland's Spider-Man, with the way this movie ended, it basically let us know that this three-film arc was his origin story leading up to him becoming the classic Spider-Man we know to be, getting that iconic costume. Start off with the costume here for Spider-Man. I really hope they make some changes with the next trilogy here, and it no longer becomes a situation where they feel they need to bust out 10 different suits each movie to sell merchandise. It's kind of become a pattern in these Spider-Man movies that the suit he gets at the end, he only wears for half of the next movie before he gets another suit. And I can't wait for them to release the full HD look of that brand new suit, because it looks absolutely perfect. Classic Spider-Man. But I do like how the suit is inspired by Tobey and Andrew's suit, where you can even see they changed the spider emblem on Tom Holland's suit, which gives it a lot more personality. I think that's a great symbol for him to have on the front and back of his suit. But like some people are worried, if you like teched out Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure we will still see some tech involved with his suit. I just think now we will finally see Peter Parker himself be making that tech and using it in his suit. Like, we know he did the expression eyes on his homemade suit, and now having a little bit more knowledge in him, I'm pretty sure he can replicate that technology onto his new classic suit, along with how he'll be able to advance his web shooters all on his own and make different gadgets attached to it. And honestly, even if they make him a little too techy again in the next trilogy, as long as it's Peter Parker who made all that stuff, I won't care. Now, on the question if Ned and MJ will ever return back in Spider-Man 4 or this next trilogy, I'm conflicted on the answer. I'm gonna say no for Spider-Man 4 in the next direct movie, that they will give us a break from Ned and MJ. And if I had it my way, I would just kind of prefer that they go and live their lives outside this next trilogy. But I think with them forgetting who Peter Parker is could set up some interesting things. Like, now we could have a real way for Ned to become Hobgoblin in the future, because it never really made sense to me why Ned, who's someone really in love with his best friend and would never go against him, to where we even had that scene in Spider-Man No Way Home where he promised he'd never do that. Now, forgetting Peter Parker's identity and not having all that backstory attached, Ned could accidentally put himself on the path to become the Hobgoblin. Who knows if when they're in MIT in college, an experiment or something goes wrong that Ned volunteers for, and it turns him into the Hobgoblin. And story-wise, that could make for some interesting plot development here, because Peter Parker Spider-Man knows that's his best friend. He has all this love and admiration. At the same time, Ned doesn't give two craps and is just wanting to kill him. That would be very heartbreaking and depressing for Tom Holland Spider-Man. The only thing I ask for, if you bring back Ned and MJ in Spider-Man 4, do not reverse the spell they have on them, and instead just make MJ and Peter fall naturally back in love, because since she still is the variant Mary Jane of this universe, Spider-Man legacy would have it that he would eventually end up with her one way or another. Which brings me to my next spot here. Is one interesting we learned about Spider-Man No Way Home is that Oscorp technically does not exist in the MCU yet. Now, that doesn't mean that Oscorp will never exist in the MCU. I think that just means whenever Oscorp shows up in the MCU, it's going to be in its infancy, and it'll be one of those startup companies that'll lead to bigger things in the future, which now makes me think, instead of Tom Holland's Spider-Man getting Harry Osborn as his best friend, I think there is a real possibility we could instead see Norman Osborn become the friend of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and he won't be no 40-year-old man. I'm gonna go on a wild limb and predict here that Norman Osborn will actually be a classmate of Peter's in college. I think that would be a real interesting turn and direction for this MCU Spider-Man, because now we know Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's versions exist out there, and they're all just variant versions that have similar situations happen to them. So eventually Peter Parker's Spider-Man needs to have an Oscorp out there because it becomes one of the main resources for his classic villains to come out. So in Tom Holland's trilogy, he could be making new friends, meeting Gwen Stacy, and then we're all thinking he's about to meet an Osborn Harry, and then it's revealed, oh, it's Norman Osborn, and he has some crazy plan to be the next Tony Stark, because he looks up to Tony, and he wants his company to do sort of the same thing. But he'd rather do what old Tony did, and that is invest in military research and stuff like that. That's where I think Peter will then see that, know who that's supposed to eventually become in his universe, befriend him just to keep an eye on him, but then actually slowly really become friends with him to where it'll be a big point of confliction with that Norman becoming Green Goblin. That's a theory, but I feel like that could work. Heck, imagine Tom Holland's Spider-Man is a co-founder of Oscorp, and it's a little startup company that they are building together, but the whole reason Peter is doing this is because he knows what Oscorp is capable of in the future. Going a little bit away from some wild theories out there, let's go into what we know for sure is happening here, and that is Spider-Man Tom Holland getting the black symbiote suit. With the way the end credit scene went down, where they literally just put in Tom Hardy's Venom in the MCU and then took him out, to where if you were someone who doesn't stick around for the post credits of Marvel movies, you would never know that Venom was in the MCU for a little bit. And look, as someone who's not the biggest fan of the Venom movies and was still kind of looking forward to Tom Hardy Venom and Tom Holland Spider-Man fight each other, I kind of prefer what they're doing now, where they're going to show us the MCU version of Eddie Brock that might end up being one of the friends Peter meets at his new college, or co-worker, because Spider-Man does have an apartment by the end of No Way Home, and he was asked not to be late with rent, and without that Tony Stark money, the boy is going to need a job. The possibilities for that job could be him, again, wanting to keep an eye on his persona and everything going on, so he works as an intern for the Daily Bugle. But I kind of doubt that, because I don't think he really likes Jameson and doesn't want to be around him all that much. I think he'll actually end up working for Feast in honor of Aunt May to kind of keep up that tradition of her helping people, and it would also fall in line with like the Spider-Man video games. Or he could be like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, where he's someone who needs to have multiple jobs, working as a pizza delivery boy, or maybe something completely different, and then that's where he could meet some of his other friends. But getting back to Venom showing up, I know there's a lot of people who think, nah, they're setting up Flash Thompson to be Agent Venom. Because in the comics, Flash Thompson not only goes to the military, he ends up becoming this character known as Agent Venom, but I don't think so. Along with MJ and Ned going away, so is Flash Thompson. They're now going to be living in Boston while Peter is staying in New York. So I think they will give us an Eddie Brock, and if you want to do the Spider-Man movie where he has multiple suits, there you go. You give him the black symbiote, and I promise you, Spider-Man fans will not be complaining about that. The question will be left up in the air though, will this symbiote be similar to the one in Tobey's universe, where it'll make Peter Parker angry, enraged, hateful? Or is it going to be like in Tom Hardy's universe, where he's going to have this inner symbiote talking to him, being a little goofy and jokey with him, wanting to eat brains? We'll have to wait and see on that, but I think the real reason they brought in the symbiote into the MCU is because it really seems like Marvel is setting up this Secret Wars storyline, and we know Marvel still has one more movie with Tom Holland before he re-ups his contract, which he's obviously going to do.
It's reciprocal. So we lend one and they lend one, and that's how Benedict is in this movie, and so we have one more lend back, right? That's committed.
And I think it'll be Secret Wars, and that's where we'll see him get the black suit, just like he did in the comics for the first time. Now, here's something I bet not a lot of you thought about after the end of No Way Home, is now that the spell has made it so that everyone forgets the identity of Peter Parker, but people still remember Spider-Man himself and everything he's done, this gives us the perfect reason for why Michael Keaton's the Vulture will become a villain again for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. One of the main reasons the Vulture ended up going good at the end of that film and not giving out the identity of Peter Parker to the Scorpion is because he got to know Peter Parker, and that made him sort of soft. To now, if he forgets that, he just knows that masked guy put me in jail, broke up my family. So there's a good chance we could see the Vulture pop up again as a villain in Spider-Man No Way Home, and he could team up with the Scorpion, which, come on now, you set up the Scorpion and you never got to him. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Scorpion just ends up becoming one of those villains that's in like the first 10 minutes of the movie, where we're like getting caught up on what Spider-Man is doing in his life. That way they can address the Scorpion thing and then never talk about it again. Also, something I would like to see now from the new trilogy is stop doing the team up things. If Sony and Marvel still insist on having another MCU character join Spider-Man on his adventures. I'd rather it just be like a small cameo to where we had like Daredevil show up. If we got Spider-Man and Daredevil interacting, I would love to see that, because then we could even have Kingpin as the villain and they kind of share that villain together. Maybe cameo with people like Daredevil, the Punisher, people that are street level crime fighters like Spider-Man that he can relate to. And with MJ out of the picture, it's also left up to question is who will be the new love interest for Spider-Man. While everybody's putting on the table Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man would know right away that somehow she's supposed to die in his universe because of the story that Andrew Garfield told him. I think Spider-Man's gonna remember everything that those spider people told him and be on the lookout for stuff like that in his universe. So we might see Peter not even be interested in getting a relationship with Gwen because he knows what that could lead to that character. I think this would be the perfect introduction then of a character like Black Cat, who sometimes is a love interest for Spider-Man, but it's never really anything serious where we know that's a relationship that's going to continue on. It's just going to be like an on and off again thing, and would also show us a really mature side of Spider-Man that we hadn't seen before. And I guess speaking on that topic where Tom Holland's Spider-Man is aware of everything that Tobey and Andrew told him, I really do want it addressed in the movie if Spider-Man is going to be on the lookout for all these other villains. Is he going to go ahead and search up Norman Osborn? Is he going to search up Otto Octavius, Dr. Connors, Max Dillon? Will he have files on them and keep up with what they're doing every moment of their life until they turn into those characters, or will he be trying to prevent them? Especially now because in this movie he established a cure for the Goblin serum, a cure for Electro, a cure for the Lizard. Will those same cures be something he's able to use and hold on to for when those villains eventually pop up? That's the kind of side of this Spider-Man trilogy that I'm hesitant on, and I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna go, because I think it's kind of weird that Spider-Man knows these villains are out there, and when he meets them for the first time he won't be surprised or be outmatched because it's someone he's already prepared and looking forward to. That I feel it does take away a little bit from Spider-Man or the suspense, but I think that's where the MCU and variant versions could really come in, to where we've known what Doc Ock, Electro, Green Goblin, Sandman, all those people look like for these other universes, and now they're going to be extremely different for Tom Holland's, where he's completely unprepared for what will happen. At least that's what I think. There's probably so many other ways you could think about this and look into it, but I think those are just some of the things that will be touched upon in the next movie or in the next trilogy. I'm really excited to see what will happen here, but I'm gonna need you guys to give me your opinions down below. What do you think is next for Tom Holland's Spider-Man? What do you want to happen in Spider-Man 4? How do you think they should handle these villains reoccurring in his universe? Wildest theories thrown my way. Anything and everything. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.